Welcome to today's maths video, which is all about column addition. So for those of you in year 3, 4, 5 and 6, it's a whistle-stop tour of how to do column addition. We call it a formal written method, and it's how you add up larger numbers, decimal numbers, numbers with different placeholders, and get really good at that formal written method of addition. So watch on and we'll go through a few worked examples and look at some common problems. So this is formal written methods number 1. This is column addition. So you can see two calculations here, 3,689 and 4,818, and we set it out in columns. So we set them up, the numbers above and below, and then the two lines with the plus sign there. And then we've got a decimal one as well. This is a type of method for addition that we use when we're talking about larger numbers you probably can't add too easily in your head, decimal numbers, and it's a really useful method. So we're going to have a look at how it works. So we'll go on and just see the basics of it. The first thing is really important when we're working with column addition is to line up the columns. So very simple calculation when we first start learning. 27 add 68. We know 27, 2 10s, 7 1s, 68, 6 10s, 8 1s. It's really important that we line them up. When we first start teaching this, we tell the children to write a T and a U above it, or 10s and 1s above it, and then it helps them line it up when they're using the squares in their book. We don't want to see this. This is where it goes horribly wrong, where we don't line the columns up and we end up adding a 10 to a 1 or a 1 to a 10, and it just doesn't work at all, and that's when the children get into a real mess. So this is what we want to avoid. Okay, so let's just look through how we work it. So we've got 7 add 8 is our first calculation, which is 15. So our 5 comes in here and we carry the 1. Okay, so adults, you'll probably remember that from your time at school, carry in. So we now do 2 add 8, and we need to remember this one because we've done the 15. 15 is 5 1s and 5 1s and a 10. So 2 add 6 add 1 is 9. So 27 add 68 is 95. We'll have a look at that carry in a little bit more detail on this page. So you can see we've got the calculation 16 add 35, so I've lined everything up correctly. I've put my T and U above to help me do that, and then I've just done an image of 16. 110 rod, 6 1 blocks, and then 35 below, 3 10 rods here and 5 1 rods. Now I've got my 6 units and 5 units added together. If I put them together, it makes 11, which is 1 10. I exchange that 11 for 1 10 and one of these. So when we do our calculation, let's get myself a coloured pen up. 6 add 5 is 11, so our 1 unit from 11 goes in there. Our 1 10 comes underneath here. 1 add 3 add 1 is 3, 4 and 5. Put it together is 51. So that's a nice simple example, and that's what we talk about with carrying. Okay, so we'll look at getting on to some more complicated calculations. So here's a couple where we start to see it. You can see we've got 2 2-digit numbers and then 2 3-digit numbers, so we'll just work through those. So 8 add 7 is 15, put the 5 in, carry the 1, 3 add 4 add 1, we mustn't forget that 1, is 8. So 38 add 47 is 85. Then we got onto large numbers. Again, it's really important that we're lining everything up. So this would be a hundreds column, tens and units, or ones. So 8 add 7, again is 15. Carry the 1, 1 add 1 is 3. 7 add 2 is 9. Okay, so 935. Now we'll just have a look at a couple of common problems. So you're going to see me in a moment and see what happens. So our first calculation is 789 add 65. Here's our calculation, 789 add 65 equals, so we've not got the numbers lined up. So what you'll notice That's got 3 digits. That's only got 2. So it's really important to help line them up, especially when we're getting started with this. If it's a newish method for you, put your hundreds, tens and units, 700, 80 and 9 and our 65. Children will commonly put 6 here in the tens, in the hundreds, and forget that they need to make sure that they line it up. That 6 is worth a 10, so it needs to come here in the tens column. Our 5 is 5 ones, so it needs to go there. 2 lines in underneath for our answer, put the plus sign in to remember what we're doing. So 9 add 5 is 14, carry the 1. Some people like to carry the 1 up there. It doesn't really matter as long as you remember to add it. That's what's really important. 8 add 6 add 1 is 15. Carry the 1, and then 7, no hundreds there. Add this 1 that we've carried is 8 to make 854. Good way to check, just make sure that you've added your units up correctly. That's often a common mistake, so it's really important that we're doing that. Some children might count on their fingers, so just do the quick calculation. 9 add 5, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, no problem with that, and then carry like so. Now we can go back into decimals and add in decimals. So this is where we start getting to years 5 and 6 more. So often money we might be adding up. So here we've got a calculation, 6.79 add 13.52. You could imagine it's £6.79 add £13.52. You know, those kind of problems where you go to a shop, buy 2 things, how much is the total cost? So we've got a decimal number here with just 1 ones, and this one's got a 10 and a 1. So there's the importance of lining up. We do exactly the same thing, but what's really important is our decimal points here must line up. Children will often go wrong because they don't line the decimal point up. Make sure here we've got our ones, so our units there lined up. We've got our tens lined up. Okay, so there's our 10, our unit, our tenths. I'm just going to put that as a fraction, 1 over 10, and our hundredths, they're all lined up. Okay, and then we can start adding. So 2 hundredths and 9 hundredths together is 11. So the 1 in there, carry the 1. 7 add 5 add 1 is 13. Okay, carry 1 into here. So 13 tenths is 1.3. So we carry the 1 unit. 6 add 3 add 1 is 10. So put the 0 in there, carry 1 over, 0 add 1 is 2. Put the decimal point back in, 20.31. If it was a money problem, it would be £20.31. So there's a quick tour of how to do column addition, how we teach that in school. It's a really, really useful strategy for when we're adding 2 large numbers, when we're adding 2 decimal numbers. It's one that children can use. It's a really easy, clear strategy. If you can remember those golden rules, line everything up correctly. So make sure you've got hundreds underneath hundreds, tens underneath tens, units underneath units, decimal points lined up if you're adding decimals, and then make sure you carefully add each digit. You carry, you remember to add the carry when you've done. Okay, good luck with your column addition.